Nishbas. Rabbeinu Chaim Zalman ben Rabbeinu Moshe Lin Nishbas ben Shalom Shachna ben Rabbeinu Avram Lin Nishbas Rabbeinu Avram Matisyahu ben Rabbeinu Menachem Nachum Lin Nishbas Rabbeinu Menachem Nachum ben Rabbeinu Yisrael Lin Nishbas Rabbeinu Yisrael ben Rabbeinu Shalom Shachna Lin Nishbas Rabbeinu Avraham ben Rabbeinu Dover Lin Nishbas Rabbeinu Dover ben Rabbeinu Avram Lin Nishbas Rabbeinu Yisrael ben Rabbeinu Eliezer Lin Nishbas Rabbeinu Nasim ben Rabbeinu Shlomo Lin Nishbas Rabbeinu Yitzchak Luria Rabbeinu Yitzchak ben Rabbeinu Shlomo Lin Nishbas Rabbeinu ben Rabbeinu Shlomo Lin Nishbas Rabbeinu Shlomo ben Rabbeinu Yitzchak Lin Nishbas Kol Tzadikim Chasidim Nishbas Ramotcha Pragamanski Yortzeit was said Lin Nishbas Bishal Salantas Yortzeit was said Chosem Galenu Chaim L'Chaim. So we're finishing up Shavim. Shavim is 6 weeks this year. In the Ibiyar, it's 8 weeks. We sent out that. I don't know if you got the clip about the. We sent that Imre Naim and Shavim. But
I don't have a smartphone.
Yeah, I don't either.
Well, you're about missing out.
Then you can't learn.
I'm missing out.
Not a smartphone. You can't learn.
Should I get a smartphone?
No. Your phone will be smart, but you'll be very dumb.
Yeah.
So there's 6 weeks of Shavim, 42 days, and each one is connected. One of the ISIS of Shem and Beis.
What's Shavim? What?
Shavim, 6 weeks. Shavim stands for Shmois Ve'er B'Ei B'Shach Yisrael Mishpatim, and it's a time that's Mesukin for being Misakin from Shabbat Kedusha. Because what goes on during Shavim is the Parshas Shavuos, we relive it. And Klal Yisrael Mitzrayim, the whole goal of Mitzrayim was to be Misakin Klal Yisrael, to purify them, and to put them through a purification of Karabarazal, purification to be Misakin all the Chisroinus of Kedusha, the Insights of Kedusha. And what happened is through different Chatoim in history, starting with Chet Adam Rishon, the word Kedusha ended up being dispersed all over the world, and Klal Yisrael is yet to be Misakin the Kedusha. And Klal Yisrael in Mitzrayim that's really what they were doing. They were Misakin the Kedusha in their own neshamas, and they were Misakin all the Yitzhak Kedusha that were Nivla in Mitzrayim, because when Kedusha gets dispersed, when it gets misplaced, so who grabs it? It's Kaychas HaTumah grab it. This is what they live off of there, when a person does an Aveira, he loses. He's giving up part of his neshama. That's what it is, right? He's giving us. We spoke about this many times, right? The idea is the Yetzer Hara, the Kaychas around the belt are desperate to get a Yid to do an Aveira, because every time a Yid does an Aveira, he's parting with his neshama, with his chiyas, right? He puts his chiyas into the Aveira, and they sit there and they're waiting to clean up. That's what they live off of. They say, "Hey, give me some more kedusha, And they see a Yid walking by, and they say, "Oh wow, look at all this kedusha ready for the grabbing." And they try to get him come part with your kedusha.
They're like in the video games, the guy's running and bumps into the sharp thing, and all the coins fall out.
I didn't play that one after my day, but that's so that's what's going on. Shavim is man mesugo for these tikkunim. That's what went on in Mitzrayim, and for 6 weeks until Parshas Mishpatim, Klal Yisrael naturally has a siyua. Obviously, anytime you have a siyua, you have extra help from the Zman and from the Kedushas Hayamim. So obviously, you have to zushtalted and focus on it. But when you focus on it, your hishtadlus sort of ends up being like on steroids. So Elam Mishpatim, Asher Tassim Mifneim has in him a ramazim for the cleaning up of Shavim. This is the final parsha that has in a connected Shavim, and one of the ramazim is that Kisikna Eved Ivri Sheish Shanam Yavod Vashvius Yetze Lachav Shechinam. So it says the Eved Ivri, a Yid who's the Eved Hashem, right? So Sheish Shanam Yavod is connected the Shisha Shvuos, and when a person does his avoid the Shisha Shvuos of Shavim, then Vashvius Yetze Lachav Shechinam. So he ends up getting rid. He sort of manages to escape the grip of the Yetzer Hara, because when a person's when a person's nitzayis hakadusha are being held b'shivya through the fact that he offered them to the koichas hara by doing chet, unfortunately. Right, when he does this tikkun, now he gets it all back. He has his whole neshama, he has all his kedusha comes back intact. The the every day of the 42 days of Shavim are connected the 42 Isis and Shem Membeis. Right, Shem Membeis is Ana B'chachdus Minchat HaTetzura. Right, there are 7 stanzas with 6 words each, and so 7 times 6 is 42. It's the Rosh Tevis of all these 42 words. So the last week of Shavim is connected the last line of Ana B'chayach, which is Shavasenu Kabel Shmat Sakasenu Yodea Talumais. So we're holding tonight. The last 2 days of Shavim is Yodea Talumais, right? Which was the last line of Ana B'chayach is Shavasenu Kabel, right? He accept our desperate plea. Ushmat Sakasenu. And here are screaming, right? The Shabbat and Sa'ak are two Lashonos of Tefillah, which are mamish begging HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we say, what schus do we have that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should accept our Tefillahs? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Yodea Talumais. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what's hidden inside of us. Meaning, what we're expressing the final words of the tikkun of the final words of Shem and Beis, which is the tikkun of Shavim, is describing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rebbeinu Shalom. You know deep inside of us what we really want. Right? Like the Gemara says, Rebbeinu Shalom, not lasos etzeincha. Right? You know, Rebbeinu Shalom, that we want to do your Ratzon. But we don't even appreciate how deep our Ratzon is, right? But HaKadosh Baruch Hu appreciates even greater than us that our Ratzon is constantly being suppressed, right? So we can't even notice it ourselves. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows. Yodea Talumais. You know how much we really want, even better than we know. And the final tikkun, the ultimate tikkun that comes from Yemei Shavim, is when we recognize that the Talumis inside of us wants nothing more than to be close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And any time we connect to anything else, which ultimately sacrifices this relationship, is utter catastrophe, because it goes so connected what our Ratzon is. It's like it's like a person that would think about his most prized possession, right? And how terrible he would feel if someone would just come and grab it away from him and rip it to shreds. That's the way a Yid really feels when he recognizes that anything he does that goes connected Ratzon Hashem is sharing that relationship, which a Yid deep inside really wants nothing more than an ultimate Vekas HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this point is brought out that is what this description is like we're learning in Zehiras, right? The three derech being Mishpatim in the Ramchal in Parak Hey, Parak Daled of Zehiras, right? The derech of being Kinyan, being kind of Zehiras is his bindness, and the highest level of his bindness, which every Yid is right to be Mishpatim, right? The Ramchal says the highest level is bindness. It's not like, oh, this is right for this person, this is right for it. It's right for every Yid. The highest level is bindness, which is a Yid understands that his connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so valuable, and anything that even diminishes that connection in the slightest way is catastrophic, right? So he doesn't. Someone with this bindness doesn't say, "Oh, it's just PG. Oh, it's G." You know what I'm saying? Everything it's not so bad. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't rationalize that. Yeah, or it could be worse. It's not so bad. But a person whose bonus is that when he is Yodei, his own talumis, and he knows that just the fact that a person is sitting goes, just sports, it's just music, it's just this, and so disconnected is disconnected. You know what I'm saying? So I'm disconnected upside down in a sewer. I'm disconnected with just my nose in the sewer, not my whole head in the sewer. You know what I'm saying? Just my eyes are in the sewer. Disconnected is disconnected, and this is very reminiscent of the Maisa that we said from the Chayz Mulbin many times. He was faced with an Nisayan, right, in a matzav that Yisha was tevem with Varavera, and a matzav that he was mamish. it was the biggest nisayon because he was desperate. He was so had such a karsa type to this person, and she presented herself as being such a tzaddikus, and she said at the same time that she's tahira. She wasn't an HC, she wasn't an Ida, and she watered it down to a point this Avera that under the matzah was like you know, maybe make a cheshbon. And what was the chayis? The only way to get out of this, he says, is this getting me close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Not getting me close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He says, it's not getting me close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it's a disconnect. I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? That's the ultimate, the Yedei Talmud of every Yid. That we have this ultimate desire, this ultimate cheshik, ultimate Ratzon to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And anything that veers us away from it has to be viewed as utter catastrophe. And when it comes to this brightness, this understanding, so then he's zeicha to reach a level of dveikus, and when a person's level to Hakadosh Baruch Hu, he becomes a magnet to schlep up all halakim of his neshama that may have been chas v'shalom nisbazer to places where they shouldn't be. There's a Rashi in this week's Parshas. We were learning it this morning in Yeshiva. Rashi says that by the Nirtza, Rata Adoinav has Ozne b'Martzeya. So Rashi says that why do you drill a hole in his ear? You have the Abed Ivri, right? He decides after his time is up by his Adain, right, that he wants to, after 6 years, he's supposed to go out free. He wants to stay. He's having a good time over here. He likes his Shifra Kananis. He likes being taken care of. So he likes the world of Abdus. So we make him a Abin Nirtza, V'rata Adoinav B'Salzna B'Martzeya, right? Where do you drill his ear? El Adelis El HaMezuzah. Because you drill his ear into the door by the mezuzah. So the Rashi says, what's that? Is he drills his ear by the door. So Rashi brings down that where do we have recently doorways? In Parshas Boy, right? When HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'makas b'chayris, he was skipping over the doorway of the Yidden, and Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu delos mezuzah shahayu edim b'Mitzrayim k'shepasachti ala mashkesh v'al shtei mezuzahs. They were there witnessing when I skipped over the houses of the mashkes and shtei mezuzahs, meaning because the Yidden put dam on the mashkef on the upper part of the doorway, and the shtei mezuzahs on the two lintels, on the two side posts. Excuse me. And Vamarti at that point when he passed over the house of the Yidden Machas Marti. I announced at that point that Klal Yisrael are avadim to me, and not avadim to avadim. He shouldn't want to be an eved to anyone other than HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So his ear should be drilled in front of the Eidim that witnessed this statement about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Kli b'nei Yisrael avadim avadehem. So l'chayra, Rashi is quoting a medrash. Actually, excuse me, it's a Gemara in Kedushin, right? And but the only problem is that this pasuk for Kli b'nei Yisrael avadim avadehem Kli b'nei Yisrael avadim is not over there in by the pasuk of in Parshas Bay, right? The pasuk of Kli b'nei Yisrael avadim is in Vayikach Hey. Right, there's no statement over there by when HaKadosh Baruch Hu was pesach on the houses of the Yidden that he announced Kli b'nei Yisrael avadim. Right, so where do you see that announcement over there that the mezuzahs are and the Dallas and the mezuzahs are, or I should say the mashkef and the shtei mezuzahs are edim on that announcement? So I was thinking the answer is pashut, right? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he shows any korva to a Yid, right, when he interacts with Yidden, that itself is an announcement that I'm HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a shaychus to you, right? The fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu handles with the Yidden in a mishunadika way, and he shows his chiba. This shows the relationship that our ischayvus HaKadosh Baruch Hu's total of ischayvus of evet and other. So it's mamish being broadcast, even though the words are not being said, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu is broadcasting by this korban that we have a total connection and a total shiva to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is something that I was like this ira to that. It's a pasha zachal chayra. Right? You have to recognize that any time we're Messiachas HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? It's vising that we are avodim, right? It's not just that we do a mitzvah, right? It's a specific interaction. It's a very kloliistic dveikus HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is avodim, and we are as avodim, and that should be felt. That should be nisayir every time we interact with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Every time a person does a mitzvah, he's connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Every time a person stands by Shemon Esrei, he's standing in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a miyuchadik way, and he has to be able to recognize. He should hear this statement, this calling. Klibin Yisrael avodim avodahem le'avodim la'avodim. The emphasis that this is like we're in Rashi itself, right? Rashi in the previous pshat in Rashi says when he's nimkar b'gnei vasai, Rashi says he's over on Kli b'nei Yisrael avodahem Kli b'nei Yisrael avodim. I say Kli b'nei Yisrael avodim, and he went and he was halach and he was gone. I was over on Leisignav, right? He should have said Isaac Shashava Bahar Sinai Leisignav Teirotza, right? But the pshat is it's deeper than that. If you hear a Leisignav and you went over Leisignav again, chap Leisignav. But when you hear the Anaychi, you understand Leisignav is part of the picture. But the moment you have any nisayon to be a ganav, and you recognize the Leisignav is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it represents this intense connection of Eved Adain, right? So that's what it's meant to inspire us. That if I'm going to be over Leisignav, I'm sharing this dveikus. If you think, I'm over Leisignav, okay, I did Leisignav. But if you understand that every time we disconnect from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it literally gets into it really makes a break. It makes a disconnect in this intense relationship between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's ultimately what inspires us, and that's the mechayev. How could you not recognize that by doing a Leisignav, you're going to be sharing, you're literally sharing our relationship. We said over earlier today from the Imrei Noyam, just interesting daher. It was a chiddush to me, right? We have Shavim 6 weeks, and on the Ibri Yar we have Shavim Tat, an extra 2 weeks. Plus happens during the Ibri Yar we have an extra 2 weeks. So he says as follows: Shavim starts with Klal Yisrael going to Mitzrayim, and it ends with the mitzvah of Machzas HaShekel. Machzas HaShekel is the end of Shavim. So as soon as you start laying the parsha of Machzas HaShekel, that ends Shavim. So on a year like this year, this week is Parshas Mishpatim, but on a regular year, Parshas Mishpatim is always Parshas Shkolim. It's a Shabbos before Chodesh Adar. And Memela, on Shabbos, we're already laning for Parshas Shkolim, the Parshas Kisisa are going to be laning about the Machzas HaShekel. Machzas HaShekel ends Shavivim. Masha'en came when you have an Ibri Yar, so you have another 4 weeks till Purim, right? So you're not going to so Parshas Shkolim is going to be in 4 weeks, right? When do you lane Kisisa? On Parshas Kisisa, right? So after you do Truma Tetzaveh, once you do Shemais V'Arei B'Shach Yisrael Mishpatim Truma Tetzaveh, after Shabbos Tetzaveh by Mincha you're already laning Kisisa already. So once you lane the Parsha Machzas HaShekel, this is the end of Shavim. It doesn't explain why Machzas HaShekel has anything to do with ending Shavim, right? He gives a lot of remazim, which if I can recall what they were, but we'll speak them out. But it doesn't explain why is Machzas HaShekel the end of Shavim. So I think it's pasha that the Pshat Hazeh, that what is chet? What are we being misaken in Shavim? Shavim is we're being misaken. We're not here to be misaken individual chatoim. We can't be misaken individual chatoim, right? Shavim Zman is we misaken the Yisod, right? We're strengthening foundations. What is our foundation? Like we're saying, our entire direction is our focus. When it comes to pratistik, yes, you have to do pratistika, al-chaitz, pratistika, chuvas. But the avodah shavim is literally, which is avodah hayisayid, yisayidistik avodah, which ultimately is Are you connected or not connected? What is a foundation? A foundation is a connection between a building to the ground, right? You can't build a building. Once you have that connection, you can decide how big you're going to build, how tall you're going to build the building, what type of wallpaper you're going to put in the building, right? Did you have a mistake in your plumbing? You fix a mistake in your plumbing, mistake in electric, you fix a mistake in electric. But if you don't have a foundation, you haven't started anything. And Shem is really setting up that foundation. What is the ultimate expression of setting up that foundation? The ultimate expression is building a Mishkan, building a Beis Hamikdash, right? Because before you have a Beis Hamikdash, right? So Avodah Hakadosh Baruch Hu is something that's sort of, it's not really me and my whole existence connected to Hakadosh Baruch Hu. It's Am Ba'aretz. It's like a modern Orthodox view of the world. We're Americans. We have all sorts of beautiful American pastimes. We watch sports, we go to the movies, we sit on the beach. It's all beautiful. And we go to shul, we sort of disconnect from being Americans, and we daven. It's just sort of like, you go to a different sphere. So where are they connecting? It's Migdal Parech Ba'avir. The whole of it is Migdal Parech Ba'avir, right? It's just like, it's an expression for a tower that's floating in the air. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not rooted in anything, right? My foundation is me being an American. I have some sort of high level of that we go to shul and we pray, and I put on my tefillin and then I connect or whatever. And I'm not saying they don't get inspired about it. And I'm not maching gravek, but it's missing a certain yesod, right?
Jewish American or an American Jew?
Just forget the Americans. It's not
No,
important. Americans keep the American with American cheese. American cheese.
Yeah. I'm not Russian. I'm Jewish.
There you go. The Russians know.
The Russians
They're
know.
Jewish.
Yeah.
They're not Russian. They all think they're not Russian. They're Jewish.
So
I'm sure back in the former USSR, they didn't really consider them. I don't know. Maybe they thought they were Jewish, but either.
So because of that's the Shaiva is setting up this site, and the site, and that site is recognizing that Avodah Hashem is not something that it's not a transcendental type of avodah. It's literally Olam Hazeh. We bring Shechina Mamish to Olam Hazeh in a binyan, in a building, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu literally permeates the entire world from the Mishkan, and the entire world, Olam Hazeh, in the ground itself. This world itself is Mloich Haaretz Kevayde, and that's what Mishkan is. What's Machzas HaShekel? Machzas HaShekel is, what is the power of the Machzas HaShekel? There's a famous vart from the Chassam Sofer. The Machzas HaShekel, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu, Zeh Yitnu, right? Zeh is lashon of being married be'etzba. It's like Rashi, Moshe Rabbeinu matbeya shalish. He showed Moshe Rabbeinu a matbeya made out of fire. So why do you have to show him a matbeya shalish? Right? Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know what a machzas shekel was, and what type of explanation did he get from the matbeya shalish l'chayra? Right, if you want to know what a machzas shekel is, if you know anything about ancient coins, a machzas shekel, I don't know if it had any specific shape or imprint on it. I don't think that minted coins with pictures and kings and dates and two-sided coins were started until 1,000 years later at least. And a machzas shekel had some sort of shape. It was a shape. It wasn't right. It wasn't crumbs. They took a piece of silver. They shaped it into whatever shape it was. It had a certain weight, right? The machzas shekel was really a weight. What a weight! It's about. I'm guessing it's about 7-8 grams of silver. Okay, something like that. He shows him a matbeya shalish. You know what matbeya shalish weighs? Nothing, right? So he's going to say he showed him a piece of eish, the size of silver, and this size and this thickness would be the grams that you need. It's hard to imagine matbeya shalish takes on a very specific form. Eish tends to be a little bit flowery, right? It doesn't take an exact form. What is he showing about Be'er anyway? What was Moshe Rabbeinu's problem with Machzas Shekel? Typically, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to show something to Moshe Rabbeinu, it's because he's struggling with it. By the menorah, he's in the skash, and the shel menorah, very hard to make a menorah. Hashem showed him menorah shalish, right? So that we understood is a very very difficult thing. There's other. Where else would he have? Had to be. She says because Zerei v'Kadesh. At what point do you machshav it being a milid? maybe that would also needs you have whole mishnayos this way, the whole Rabbi Gamliel had a whole tzuris to try to figure out what it was, so you can understand what he showed him because they're Reva Kadesh. Rashi ain't be what with the iskasha. So there are some says the shot like this that Moshe Rabbeinu was iskasha, that Klal Yisrael is going to build a mishkan and they're going to bring shechina lamata, and this is going to totally overpower them with kedusha. And how do they tushtat it? With a machzah shekel. What's a machzah shekel? Whatever it is, it's not a huge amount of money, right? You would expect them to maybe tell them that they have to climb the tallest mountain and dig out from it. Mine the gold and in this mountain and work for it, schwitz yourself, right? How is it shaykh? Moshe Rabbeinu was niskashi. You take only a machzah shekel. This
They
is
had
going.
money.
They had right, and for them machzah shekel was small. HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed him a matbeh shel to show him it's not the money, it's the eish shabai. Eish describes chuka, Ratzon, cheshik, right? Klal Yisrael, if you come and you have a cheshik for shchina b'tachtainim, and you really, really want your Ratzon, you're mizbain until your Ratzon comes out to a point that you come lemaisa and you bring it and you put your Ratzon to maisa. Even a small maisa that expresses your Ratzon has the ability of doing hashras hashchina. This was a chiddush of machzah shekel. The chiddush of machzah shekel is that a yid with his Ratzon, with like we said, Yedea Talumas, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says there's Talumas, this Ratzon inside of you, and I want you to bring out this Ratzon inside of you and really recognize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a velt. He wants to have a Shechina b'tachtainim, and he needs you, Klal Yisrael, to make a place for it. Because if Klal Yisrael is going to be metama the ganze velt and not do anything to make a makom for a Shechina, they're not going to be the ones searching for this connection. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu can't be masher shchina b'tachtainim. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu showing to Moshe Rabbeinu the key to binyan hamikdash is for your Ratzon to be mamish like fire. You have to be on fire in your cheshik to have shchina b'tachtainim. And that ultimately is the final step of, that's when a yid gets this, after 6 weeks of shavim, and he gets the matziv of that the Ritzonein Elasris and Ritzoncha, and he wants to make it his heart a model of shchina v'shechanti b'seichem v'sochal echad ve'echad and v'shechanti in Eretz HaTachmin Olam Hazeh, and to literally permeate the whole world with Kedushas Hashem. He leaves behind a watered down avodah to an intense avodah shel eish, and this is ultimately once a yid reaches this sort of shows that he's ready, that he's at his point of tikkun. His shavim is complete. Just say what we said over there. We said earlier today. He says he says that in the shekel just gives your Muslim, the shekel has to do with tikkun ha'yisayid. He says shkolim is begematria tzaddik yisayid olam. He says
half a shekel.
Is reish tezvav. Half a shekel is reish tezvav. You have 3 half shkolim. It's shin. It's 645, which is matria truma. He says. He says that maybe I can find it over here. Let me see if it's here. Because I didn't see it in the paper. Yeah. Here it is. No. I must have gotten it from here, right?
I think you got it from the.
Yeah, and I had it a leak, but it was all this plastic and it could be said on the plastic of the Mishpatim, because he also had remarks of Mishpatim. Here. No.
No. No, I wasn't thinking that. Thinking, no, everyone's thinking. Try to preach that in your practice. People think they know what the person's
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember. He had a Ramazan that he had a Ramazan that it goes connected the tough pay machanis of the mikvah the Samachnem, which her name is Bigamatria 480, and Mishpat must be Bigamatria 480, and Elah Mishpatim is Bigamatria. I don't remember now. So I don't have it in front of me. But because he had a lot of nicer Muslim. Chavel Tachbel Salmas Riach, he says in Chavel Tachbel. If a person is chavel or chayu, right? The person is mechabel means he's destructive to himself by connecting to the tum of the Welt and being mighty chas v'shalom kedusha to larik. So chavel tachbel salmas riach in bo hashemesh teshivenu lo. He says hashemesh is bigamatria 645, which is bigamatria the ad bo hashemesh teshivenu lo. When you come to the parsha machzis hashekel, which is 3 times machzis hashekel, half of shekel is reish tasvav, 3 times reish tasvav, 645 is a Ratzon chuma. But abba Hashemesh shivenu loy, person chas v'shalom chayvel, right? And the attack was mechavel and he was mekalkel. Abba Hashemesh shivenu loy. When the parsha of Shkolim comes with the 3 machzis hashekel. This is this bavizes the Ratzon of Machzis HaShekel bavizes that he's davak HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and his sight is intact, and with that he has a complete tikkun in Mea Shavim. Mishitaka b'zaycha to our tikkunim and all siyata shmaya. And once a person is misakin the chet hayadua, we know chet hayadua brings a personally dayanias chas v'shalom and shares all sorts of bracha. When a person is misakin the alachetim. Chet hayidua is when a person is stuck on these chatoyim, then avad it opens up all the shefa parnasa and the shefa of b'ni chayim zayni, all the shefa that needs to come from